77% versus 3%. The silent crisis crushing Black entrepreneurship. Thank you all for being here today. I'm truly honored to share the stage with you as we explore one of the most profound economic disconnects of our time. I want to begin by acknowledging the extraordinary insights that made this talk possible. Insights that came from my recent deep dive conversation with Kai Sutton, a visionary advocate whose work is literally reshaping the landscape for Black entrepreneurs across America. For those who don't know Kai, imagine someone who has dedicated their entire career to not just identifying barriers, but systematically dismantling them. Someone who combines razor sharp data analysis with profound human empathy. Kai doesn't just talk about change, she architects it, building bridges where others see only chasms. Her groundbreaking research and community building initiatives have created pathways to success for hundreds of Black business owners who might otherwise have remained trapped in systems designed for their failure. What I'm about to share may fundamentally challenge how you think about entrepreneurship in America. It certainly challenged me. Here's the statistic that stopped me cold during my conversation with Kai. 77% of Black professionals express a burning desire to become entrepreneurs or start their own businesses. That's more than three quarters of an entire professional demographic with entrepreneurial dreams burning in their hearts. Yet only 3% of American businesses are Black owned. Let that sink in for a moment. This isn't just a gap, it's a chasm, a disconnect so profound it should shake us to our core. When I first encountered these numbers, my immediate thought was what many of you are probably thinking right now. This must be about access to capital, right? That's the narrative we've all been fed. But as my conversation with Kai deepened, I realized something far more complex and insidious is at work. This gap, this 74 percentage point divide between aspiration and reality, isn't simply about resources, it's about systems, it's about representation, it's about mentorship. It's about the invisible barriers that exist at the intersection of corporate culture, freelancing opportunities, and entrepreneurial pathways for Black professionals. The traditional narrative suggests that entrepreneurial success is primarily about passion and perseverance. That if you want it badly enough and work hard enough, you'll succeed. It's a beautiful story. It's the American dream distilled to its essence, but it's also devastatingly incomplete because this narrative fails to acknowledge the structural barriers that disproportionately impact Black professionals. It fails to recognize that the playing field isn't just uneven, it's designed to be uneven. When we look deeper, as Kai urged me to do, we discover that many aspiring Black entrepreneurs face a troubling paradox. The very environments that could provide the experience, connections, and capital needed to launch successful businesses, corporate America, often create conditions that push Black professionals to want to leave, yet without equipping them with the tools to do so successfully. Think about that for a moment. The very system that could be a launching pad becomes a trap. A LinkedIn study that Kai shared revealed something particularly striking. While over three-fourths of surveyed Black employees aspire toward entrepreneurship or freelancing within a year's time frame, the vast majority remain uncertain about practical next steps. They cite barriers like perceived instability, minimal visible role models, absence of accessible mentors, and competing demands, especially among women who often describe themselves as stretched too thin. This isn't just about individual challenges, It's about systemic gaps that require systemic solutions. I want to share with you three profound insights that emerged from my conversation with Kai. Insights that fundamentally reshape how we should think about supporting Black entrepreneurship. First, the entrepreneurial journey for Black professionals is marked by both extraordinary ambition and unique challenges. The desire is there, powerfully, undeniably there. But the path is obstructed by barriers that many other entrepreneurs never have to face or even consider. Second, building community driven support systems isn't just helpful, it's essential. When traditional systems fail, new ones must be built. And they are being built right now by visionaries who refuse to accept the status quo. Third, financial literacy isn't just about personal empowerment, it's about community transformation. When knowledge about building and managing wealth is shared, it creates ripple effects that can transform entire communities for generations to come. Let me bring these insights to life with a story that Kai shared, a story that demonstrates the power of community driven solutions. In Charlotte, North Carolina, something remarkable is happening. The Innovation Center, led by Cathay Dawkins, chairman of the Charlotte Mecklenburg Black Chamber, was launched as a dedicated hub specifically designed for Black owned businesses and professionals. Before this center existed, Black entrepreneurs in Charlotte lacked centralized support infrastructure. Federal funding cuts had further strained access to critical resources. But Dawkins refused to accept this reality. He spearheaded fundraising efforts, $3.7 million and counting, to create what he calls a one stop shop offering co working space, retail opportunities, and distribution centers for small businesses, including programs introducing farmers to scaling technologies. Today, the center provides event space, conference rooms, greenhouse for local food production, and outdoor plazas, all aimed at elevating local entrepreneurs' visibility and capabilities. It was inspired by similar initiatives in Atlanta, DC, and Durham, but recognized that nothing existed locally with such a focus on inclusivity and empowerment. What makes this example so powerful is that it demonstrates how collective action can create infrastructure that addresses multiple barriers simultaneously. It's not just about providing space, it's about creating community, visibility, and opportunity. This is the kind of systemic solution that Kai emphasized throughout our conversation. Approaches that recognize entrepreneurship doesn't happen in isolation, but within ecosystems that either nurture or hinder growth. But community infrastructure is just one piece of the puzzle. Kai also highlighted how systemic barriers manifest in the pathway from aspiration to action. Remember that LinkedIn study I mentioned earlier? It revealed that despite high interest in entrepreneurship, many Black professionals remain uncertain about how to take concrete steps forward. But there are bright spots emerging. Community contributors have begun sharing stories publicly. For example, Tyra Selden discusses her experience becoming known as her circle's resident successful freelance writer, providing guidance even when formal mentorship wasn't available. These efforts have raised awareness around invisible hurdles and catalyzed grassroots mentoring networks. This ongoing dialogue has seeded new peer support groups nationally focused on making freelance careers more accessible and normalized for aspiring professionals. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most effective solutions come from within communities themselves. The third vital element that Kai emphasized was financial literacy as a driver of entrepreneurship. Many prospective founders cite uncertainty regarding capital management and business finance basics as major deterrents from launching ventures independently. But efforts led through workshops, webinars, and blogs have helped demystify core concepts from budgeting and startup costs through accessing credit and investment capital, which directly correlates with higher rates of new enterprise formation. Communities adopting these approaches report increased confidence among would be founders and measurable upticks in small business launches. What's particularly exciting is how these efforts have expanded their reach via digital platforms and social media campaigns, allowing scalable delivery across multiple states. The impact strengthens the pipeline into ownership and generational wealth creation, reducing the knowledge gap fueling the racial wealth divide. As I reflect on everything Kai shared with me, I'm struck by how these insights challenge conventional wisdom about entrepreneurship. We often think of entrepreneurship as an individual journey, a solo founder with a brilliant idea making it against all odds. But what these examples reveal is that entrepreneurship thrives in community, with infrastructure, with mentorship, with education. For Black professionals specifically, the path to entrepreneurship isn't just about individual grit, though that certainly matters. It's about dismantling systemic barriers and building new systems that actively support aspiration becoming action. This brings me to what I believe is the most powerful insight from my conversation with Kai. The gap between aspiration and action for Black entrepreneurs isn't a reflection of ability or ambition. It's a reflection of systems that weren't built with Black entrepreneurs in mind. But here's the hopeful part: we can build new systems, we can create new infrastructures, we can establish new norms that make entrepreneurship more accessible to everyone with the dream and drive to pursue it. So, where do we go from here? What can each of us do to help close this devastating gap between the 77% who dream and the 3% who achieve? If you're an investor, look beyond your traditional networks. Seek out Black entrepreneurs who may not have the same connections but have equal or greater potential. If you're a successful entrepreneur, consider mentoring someone who doesn't look like you. Your experience could be the bridge someone else needs to cross from aspiration to action. If you're in corporate leadership, examine how your organization supports or hinders the entrepreneurial aspirations of your Black employees. Are you providing pathways or creating barriers? And if you're an aspiring entrepreneur yourself, remember this: you are not alone. The communities being built right now exist to support you. Seek them out, join them, help build them. The 74 percentage point gap between Black entrepreneurial aspiration and achievement isn't just a statistic, it's a call to action. It's a challenge to reimagine our systems, our communities, and our responsibilities to each other. Because when we close this gap, when we transform the 77% who dream into founders, creators, and wealth builders, we don't just change individual lives. We transform communities. We reshape economies. We rewrite the narrative of what's possible. This isn't just about business, it's about justice, it's about legacy, it's about creating a world where aspiration meets opportunity for everyone, regardless of race. The gap between 77% and 3% is unacceptable, but it is not unchangeable. Together, We can build the bridges that will close this gap, not just for this generation, but for generations to come. Thank you.